Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping away a bit from the usual global politics and market stuff.
Yeah, we're looking at something, well, maybe more personal, but just as revealing.
Exactly. It's a set of rules, almost like a personal manifesto for navigating life after betrayal. We're diving into this reflection called The Evolution of Paul Jacob.
And it really is a fascinating piece. It lays out very clearly how someone's personal philosophy can shift when things, break down.
So our mission today is really to unpack that, how this author, Paul Jacob, redefined his identity, set up new boundaries, and kind of wrestled back control over his emotional world.
It's about understanding the mechanics he put in place.
And he sets up the core tension right away. He knows there's this version of him that everyone loves, the one he calls goofy, carefree, almost childlike.
Right, he acknowledges that's the popular version.
But this piece, this reflection, it's about giving voice to the more mysterious stuff. The complexity is trapped up in the old noggin, as he puts it.
You can see him building a kind of necessary shield, really.
Mm-hmm.
That goofy Paul persona, which sounds like it relied on being super open and vulnerable, that became a liability. So this deep dive is looking at the adaptation needed psychologically and behaviorally to get to a place of, simplicity and efficiency after getting hurt.
Okay, so let's dig into that foundational shift. It starts with his original way of operating, right? His motto.
Mm-hmm.
He used to live by, I'll trust you till I can't. Which, that's a pretty high default setting for trust, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt.
It is. And maybe that's the inherent risk. Philosophically, it sounds great, but practically, it's almost an invitation for exploitation if others aren't operating the same way.
And the source confirms that's what happened. Betrayal. Deep betrayal was the outcome.
Yeah, it just wasn't sustainable. So he had to replace that kind of blanket trust with something more refined. He calls it discernment.
And discernment here isn't just being cynical, is it? It sounds more like a tool for sorting things out quickly, moving from vulnerable to protected.
Exactly. More efficient triage for relationships. And he makes it concrete, codifies it with a very specific boundary rule for what happens after someone crosses a line.
Okay, what's the rule?
He sets a hard limit. He says he'll allow attempts to get one over on me only once, just once.
That one time is like the final data point.
Right. It's a lesson learned, maybe for both parties, but it fundamentally changes the relationship dynamic.
It's actually quite generous in a way. It's not zero tolerance. It's one strike.
It is. But the consequence of crossing that line, that's where the efficiency of the new system really kicks in. He states, after that happens, he must love you from a distance until you learn the lesson.
Love you from a distance. That's powerful.
It's the defense mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just cutting people off, which can be messy and draining. It's more like an emotional quarantine.
Right.
He still values the person, notionally loves them, but denies them close access to his vulnerability, his high-stakes emotional life, at least until he sees a real change in them.
It's a way to protect his own energy.
While keeping his sort of moral compass. But it does mean sacrificing that easy intimacy, doesn't it? That distance is the cost of safety.
Yeah, there's a trade-off. But he also offers a simple alternative to the whole drama, which really kind of hits the nail on the head.
Oh, yeah. His preference is crystal clear. Just ask me for help instead of conspiring against me.
That one line, it feels like the core of it all.
It really is. It champions honesty and straightforwardness over complexity and manipulation. It shows he values his time, his mental energy, way more than whatever someone might gain by being deceitful.
And that desire for things to be straightforward, efficient, that keep it simple idea. It's so strong, it actually leads to a whole new persona. Mm-hmm. He says that after all the betrayal in my life, Business Paul comes out more often these days.
Oh.
Let's unpack Business Paul. He sounds intense.
Intense but functional. Business Paul seems to be the application of that efficiency principle to everything outside the family circle. He's the result of radical compartmentalization, almost a purely functional entity, designed for getting things done without emotion getting in the way.
Like the emotional engine is just switched off in that mode. What are his defining traits?
The main thing is singular. He gets the job done, period. And his method involves stripping away anything emotional that could slow things down.
So he can work with anyone.
Yeah, he pulls all walks of life together for the purpose of completing the task at hand. That's the quote.
And the source really emphasizes the lack of judgment there. No racism, no judgment, just focused on a handshake for a common goal and agreement. It's almost Hyper-transactional.
It is. It's like the ultimate antidote to the emotional chaos of betrayal he experienced. He's building a space where the rules are simple, transparent,
And his guiding principle.
explicitly stated. Keep it simple, stupid. And putting that phrase right after talking about all the complex deceit he faced, it's a pretty clear rejection of drama.
Okay, but I have to ask here. Is this sustainable? Is Business Paul just, emotional avoidance dressed up as efficiency?
That's a fair question.
Trading vulnerability for numbness. Does he risk becoming, isolated if he's always in that mode?
That's the critical trade-off, isn't it? He gains structural safety, maybe, but potentially loses out on some joy or deeper connection in those spheres.
Just how does he handle that?
Well, the text addresses this directly. Radical compartmentalization again. He explicitly says he enjoys business because it requires no emotions. And then he gives himself a direct order: save emotions for the family.
Okay, so business, function, transaction, low emotional risk, family, the designated zone for all the messy, high-stakes emotional stuff.
Exactly. That's how he manages the risk. He isolates it, confines it to the area where he presumes loyalty and commitment are or should be absolute.
It's a disciplined way to protect that original goofy Paul that's still in there somewhere.
Precisely.
And speaking of family, he does touch on his personal life briefly. He acknowledges it's not perfect either, even that safe zone.
Yeah, with some real humor, too. He says, we crazy? But it's our crazy.
And he even apologizes if their crazy spills out into your lives, which is quite self-aware.
It is. It shows he's not claiming perfection. He knows this whole evolution is a work in progress. He says, we're learning over here, too. Standing taller every day.
So setting these boundaries isn't a one-and-done thing. It's ongoing.
It's an active discipline, yeah. He's clearly struggling, but also clearly growing through it.
And that struggle, that personal journey, it leads to some really quite universal advice, doesn't it? This is where it shifts from just his story to something for the listener.
It does. The first bit of advice is about dealing with others who might be going through their own intense shifts. He tells us to have patience with loved ones because, his words, awakening is bizarre.
That's very insightful. He's basically asking us to give others the grace he probably needs himself, recognizing that internal change looks weird from the outside.
And the tools needed to navigate that. He says you need compassion and an open mind. If you see someone else in that bizarre awakening phase, those are your go-tos.
Makes sense.
And then he wraps up the emotional advice part with this sort of rallying cry against letting negativity or old patterns drag you down. It's quite direct. Take that power back, girl.
Wow. You can hear the voice of experience there. Someone who felt they lost their power through trust and fought to get it back.
Have fun.
Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. The reflection takes a bit of a turn, right? From all this deep emotional work to technology, specifically AI. How does that connect?
Well, I think the connection works if you look at AI through the lens of Business Paul.
Okay.
Business Paul is all about efficiency, agreements, execution, no emotional baggage. AI, in that frame, is kind of the ultimate transactional tool, isn't it? It operates theoretically without malice, deceit, or feelings.
I see. It fits the keep it simple, stupid mandate perfectly. Unlike a human who might try to get one over on me, AI just executes based on the agreement.
That seems to be the implication. It's a tool for transaction, not betrayal. And he actually demonstrates his comfort with it. He mentions there's an AI podcast recap of this very post available.
So he's actively using it, embracing the efficiency it offers.
Seems so. And his explicit advice to the reader about it is really positive. Don't be afraid of AI.
Yeah.
It's learning too. And it's beautiful.
It's interesting he uses words like learning and beautiful. He's applying almost the same patient, open-minded approach to AI that he asks us to apply to people who are awakening.
It ties it all together, doesn't it? That overarching view. Approach new things, whether it's human evolution or tech progress, with curiosity, with discernment, yeah, but also with an open mind. Don't let fear stop you.
Which leads nicely into his very last piece of advice, kind of a permission slip for the reader navigating all this. He just says, interact at your own pace.
It's the ultimate boundary statement, really, for himself and for you, the listener. Respecting your own pace, respecting others' pace, it ensures you don't date out or overextend yourself emotionally, which is kind of the core lesson of his whole evolution.
So wrapping this up, what are the key takeaways for you listening? I think, first, the absolute necessity of developing discernment. You have to filter who gets access to your best, most vulnerable self.
And second, the potential value in maybe compartmentalizing. separating the purely transactional parts of life from the deeply emotional ones.
Right. And maybe third, the power of simple, clear agreements as the best defense against betrayal and complexity.
Yeah, this whole reflection shows how you can take painful experiences and not just survive them, but actually synthesize them into usable rules. Paul Jacob went from being maybe a victim of his own openness to being the architect of his own protection.
By creating clear rules for interacting with the world.
Exactly, applicable rules.
So we'll leave you with this thought to consider. If your public persona, the one everyone seems to love, is that goofy, open, carefree version, what kind of business might you be holding back?
Yeah, and what betrayals, maybe big or maybe small, are pushing that more pragmatic, emotionally guarded version to come out more often than you'd perhaps like.
Something to think about as you navigate your own boundaries today.